it is never too early to start thinking about the next Super Bowl. And of course, Super Bowl 60 odds have been on the move ever so slightly, even over the last little bit. Looking at it now, the Eagles plus 600 at FanDuel, the Chiefs plus 650, the Ravens plus 650, the Bills plus 750, the Lions plus 1,000, the Niners there at plus 1,500, the Bengals at plus 1,800, and so on and so forth. Per BetMGM, from open to current, the Lions have gone from plus 850 to plus 800. Again, this is at BetMGM. The Bengals from 20 to 1 to 18 to 1. And the Bucks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 40 to 1 to 35 to 1. Highest ticket count as we sit here the day after Super Bowl Sunday, Monday, February the 10th. The Lions, 13.5%. The Eagles, 12.5%. The Bills, 9.8%. And the highest handle percentage, Lions, 12.9. Eagles, 11.3. Chiefs, 11.2. So as it stands, the biggest liability at BetMGM, Lions, Bengals, and Eagles. Tony, I'll start with you. Your thoughts? I know it's early. We haven't even had the draft. It's just the day after Super Bowl 59. Your thoughts on this market? Anybody that jump out to you? Like, do we just back the Eagles to repeat?
Yeah, I think it's too early. If you want to get cute, though, and go further down the board, I think a team like the Chargers is interesting. I mean, remember, they weren't supposed to make the playoffs last year in Jim Harbaugh's first year. Now you got Jim Harbaugh in his second year with a couple of his draft picks that he's going to bring in and some free agents that he's going to bring in. I think they could be a scary team next year. The Commanders, too, you have to look at and take seriously now. They've got cap space. We talked about they could bring in a T. Higgins or someone of that caliber. They could shore up their defense. They could get an elite pass rusher. And you got Marshawn Lattimore in the back end still. I think they're a team that's interesting. And the Niners, I'm not just being a homer here, but the Niners at 16 or 17 to 1, you have to at least think about. I'm not willing to put money down on that right now because there's, Debo, Drake Greenlaw. They have so many question marks. But with Saleh coming in as the defensive coordinator, getting that kind of a price on the 49ers in the NFC, which should be wide open, is at least worth a look as well.
Same question for you, Nick. First, your thoughts on a potential repeat run for this Philly team. They are losing or potentially losing some names in the free agency market. We've already addressed one or two, but Bond, I believe, is a free agent as well. Your thoughts on the Eagles potentially to repeat, and is there anybody else sort of near the top that if you were going to enter this market today, you'd take a look at?
Yeah, the majority of their talent staying in Philadelphia, though, right? I mean, they're going to lose Milton Williams. They're going to lose, maybe a couple other pieces as well. But in the trenches, guys, they're mostly staying together. We'll see who they're able to add in the offseason. But Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are still going to be back there. Darius Slay, I think, is going to stick around for another year or two. They're still going to have Saquon, who rushed for something like 1,200 yards behind their mammoth offensive line. And they're still going to have Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and all those pass rushers. So, very realistic to expect the Eagles to be right in it again next year. When we're looking at some of my favorite Super Bowl futures, I love quarterback. I don't want to be a homer there, but I think a couple of moves and Green Bay is in the conversation in a wide open NFC, as Tony was saying. Yeah, and I like Cincinnati as well, guys. Joe Burrow, historic campaign last year, and I think they're capable of copying that on the offensive end again. Defensively, they're going to need to improve and add a few pieces, obviously, but I think if Joe Burrow and that offense can play a little bit better in the fourth quarter of games, and hopefully the defense can help them out a little bit, they're a great shot at, I think, 24 to 1 right now. So I really like the value there. If you want to go further down the board, I can give you a couple more value picks if you like that. You're really just betting on a quarterback breakout. And so there was a couple that I liked. If you like somebody like Trevor Lawrence to have a breakout for the Jacksonville Jaguars, or maybe Bryce Young has a third-year breakout for the Carolina Panthers, they're 100 to 1 right now.
I know Tony loves that Carolina Panthers shout. The Packers, to me, are interesting. Like, I know you're a Packers fan, but I think there's validity to that, especially when you look at the fact that the Packers played Philly twice and played them competitively twice as well. There's something to be said for that in retrospect, in hindsight. And I know we just watched Philly completely dismantle the Chiefs, but the fact that the Packers sort of hung around a little bit, kept them in check defensively, there's something to that. So if they can build on that, like make some, shrewd signings, draft well, then I think Green Bay might be a team to look at. Tony, let me ask you this. If I was going to say, hey, who's going to be this year's Washington Commanders, what's your gut reaction?
Let me think here. Don't laugh, guys. Don't laugh. I'm going to say the Panthers. Like, they had so many injuries last year, and Bryce just didn't take that next step that I thought he might be able to. And now I'm more convinced that he can take that next step in year 3 because of what we saw in year 2. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers were that team next year.
Nick?
I know it seems like I'm doubling down on a terrible bet, but I really wouldn't be.
You're going to keep doing this every preseason until Carolina's finally good, and you're going to be like, I told you so.
They'll take all the credit. Exactly. Yep.